I didn't see you there. Oh, my goodness, excuse me. Welcome back to my channel. Now, before you say it, I know what you're thinking. Kayla, you are a crochet tutorial channel, not a chess tutorial channel. And to that, I would say you're absolutely correct. I do not know how to play chess. I know how the pieces work, but my elo stands at about 300. So I'm really sorry if I offended you with my opening. I did move pawn to e4, so I think that's the queen's gambit, even though I am playing black first, which I know I'm supposed to play white first. If this is your first experience with my channel, welcome. My name is Kayla and my company name is Endless Yarn Spool. I specialize in making one-size-fits-all crochet steering wheel covers, making written patterns for those designs, and also crochet YouTube tutorials for those designs. Don't be fooled by my setup here. We're not playing chess today, but we are gonna be making a chess-themed crochet steering wheel cover. So as I mentioned, my company's name is called Endless Yarn Spool, and if you'd like to patronize my shop on Etsy, I do have a link in the description that's available for you to click on. If you're interested in purchasing the pattern for this tutorial online, I also have the crochet steering wheel cover available for purchase online as well, and I'm gonna put that link in the description for you to check out. So the chess-themed crochet steering wheel cover we're gonna be working on today is actually using a technique called crochet colorwork, which involves switching between yarns of a few different colors to create a pattern in your work. This crochet tutorial is actually really good for beginners. If this is your first time dealing with colorwork crochet, it only uses 2 different colors, black and white, and it only uses the single crochet stitch. So if you're a beginner and you've got that single crochet stitch nailed down, this is a perfect pattern for you. So how we're gonna be making this crochet steering wheel cover today is we're gonna be making individual colorwork squares, join them together in a loop, and that's what's gonna make the actual steering wheel cover. But if you don't feel like joining those squares together, basically you can use these colorwork squares and the pattern to do them for anything you want. So I recently went over a basic crochet colorwork tutorial in my last video, which you can check out here. Or if you want, for your convenience, I actually popped the clip of how to do crochet colorwork in this video too, to kind of save you the work of switching between videos. If you happen to be interested in what goes into crochet design, I actually have a little vlog section in the very beginning of this video detailing kind of what my process was in making this crochet tutorial and making this steering wheel cover. If you're interested in that, kind of like a little behind the scenes sneak peek. But if you already have knowledge of how to do crochet colorwork, if you are just here for the pattern and you really don't give a crap about a stranger's life on the internet, you can skip to just the pattern at this timestamp right here. You can also support my shop by purchasing the written pattern in the link in the description. Okay, I think that's it. Let's get designing. Before we get into it, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Endless Yarn Spool. I just had to show you all the other crochet designs I have available on my Etsy. My best seller is my glow-in-the-dark skull steering wheel cover, and I make them in a huge variety of different colors, as you can see here. I also never ever charge extra for custom colors or designs. I'm completely open to custom commission requests. In fact, the majority of the listings you see here started out as custom requests. They're high quality, all made by me, and make for great gifts. Okay, thank you. Now let's get started. We're gonna use the back of one of my pieces of mail. Yeah. So, crochet design time. Now I need to figure out what I want it to be. I know that I want the squares to alternate in color. I want some of them to be black chess pieces on a white background, and I want some of them to be white chess pieces on a black background because there are 2 different colors of chess pieces. So in order for that to happen, I need to have an even number of squares, so 8 squares. And I need to fit a chess piece silhouette into each one of those pieces. Now, the question is, which pieces am I going to use? Okay, let's do knight, queen, king, rook, and bishop. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Now, if there were 4, it would be perfect. We would just do each one of them twice with 2 different, one would be black and one would be white. I mean, I could just do the knight twice, the rook twice, the bishop twice, and the king and the queen. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do the king and the queen once. And that makes perfect sense because there are 2 knights per player, 2 rooks and 2 bishops, and only 1 king and only 1 queen. So that's perfect. Let's use this color. Update time, update time. Everybody gather around for update time. Jesus, I am in a mood today. I messed up again. When you start your first foundation chain, you should never, ever, 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 ever measure that and think that that is going to be the width of your entire project if you keep going. And you want to know why? It always expands. Frogging time, it's frogging time. This is the life of a crochet designer, baby. This is what it is. It's grueling work. No, I'm kidding. All right, round 2, fight. All right, y'all, so we did it. We have a square that's now perfectly proportioned. So I'm gonna cut this off. It looks like we have a square that's 15 chains wide by 16 rows tall. So now I'm gonna put this into Stitch Fiddle and we're gonna see if we can design ourselves up some chess pieces. That looks so much better! That looks so much better! One more of these guys. Yeah, I can take off a lot of these. I want this to be in the center. 1 row there. 1 row there. So now we're down to 16. Yes! Yes! 16! We got it! We got it! We got it! So now we have our horse. I mean, our knight. God. Let's do the bishop. Look. Yay. Now it's more like it. Now it looks off. I need to take off a lot of this. Add 1 row above. Yeah. Yay! Oh, yay! Does that look like a bishop? Yes! It looks like a bishop! Okay. Now we're doing the rook. I've decided that I'm gonna do all the chess pieces from chess.com. I just think it's gonna keep it consistent through the majority of the project. So we're just gonna use chess.com's chess pieces. They seem like they're solid chess pieces to use, so I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna start with 30 and I'm gonna see if I can zoom it down. I'm gonna try to make the whole thing completely symmetrical and then I'm just gonna start chopping that shit up. Oh my gosh! That's a rook, baby. That is a rook if I've ever friggin' seen one. Okay, queen time. It is so hard to get points on pixels. I thought I had something there, but oh, okay, that makes me feel better. I like that. That's our queen. 45 minutes later, this is our queen. Oh! Okay, on to the king. That's good. I like that. There you go. There you go. Final piece has been done. King, rook, queen, knight, bishop. We're done.
Okay, so this is an example of a Colorwork chart. All you really have to know is that the number of chains you're going to start with if you're doing a project in single crochet is one more than the number of the boxes you see down at the bottom of the chart. So for this project, you see there are 18 boxes, so we'll be starting with 19 chains. Each box counts as one single crochet, and the color of the box corresponds to the color you'll use for that stitch. The numbers at the bottom correspond to the stitch you're on, and the numbers on the sides correspond to which row you're on. So for example, row 4 has 8 pink single crochets, 4 white single crochets, and 6 pink single crochets. Simple, right? So without getting too much into it, there are 2 types of crochet color work: stranded and intarsia crochet. And the type that we're using today is called stranded. So one of the things that I personally got confused on when I first dipped my toes into the world of colorwork crochet was which side is the right side versus which side is the wrong side. And it all depends on where the tail of your chain ends up after the first row of single crochet. And bear in mind that this pattern is for a right-handed crocheter. So I have my yarn right here, and we're gonna do 19 chains together right now. My slip knot. 1, 2, 3, 19. We do one more chain than the amount of boxes there at the bottom. So now we did 19. I chained 19 for you here, and following the pattern, we start over here on the first row on the bottom right side where it marks the first row and the first single crochet in that row. 1, 1. So for the first row, we're working from right to left. So I'm going to do that with you right now. So the tail ends up being on the left side of your work. Whenever the tail is on the left side of your work, you're looking at the front. Whenever the tail is on the right side of your work, you're looking at the back or the wrong side. That's where all of our little floats or strands are going to be. Now, I bet you are wondering, why are some numbers listed on the right-hand side while other numbers are listed on the left-hand side? That's because when we chain 1 and turn our work, we're now working from left to right. So we start on the first single crochet of the second row and work toward the end of row 2. So this is the first single crochet of the second row, and that's row 2. So I'll do that for you right now. Chain 1, turn our work, so basically you keep alternating, working from right to left and left to right until the end. And the row you're working on is labeled where you're supposed to start, which really helps to remind you which way you're supposed to go. So as you can see, row 1, you're working from right to left. Row 2, working from left to right. So let's say we were working on row 11. So row 11, you'd be starting on the right-hand side. So when you count how many stitches you're doing, you do 2 pink first, then 3 white, then 3 pink, 2 white, 3 pink, 3 white, and 2 pink. You'd work from right to left. Then on the next one, you'd do the alternating one. So you'd start with 1 pink first, all these white, and then 1 pink at the very end. Now, here's that hack I was telling you about in the beginning of this video. When I read colorwork charts, my eyes cannot, for the life of me, focus on those tiny little boxes, and I always end up getting a wrong stitch count. So I literally go line by line, each line of the colorwork chart, and write down how many stitches of each color are used for that row. It makes it incredibly easier to read. And here's an example. This is actually my dragon steering wheel cover notes. I go line by line and I literally write down how many single crochets are in each row. And this makes it immensely simple to get it right. Down at the bottom, I actually wrote which side is the right side versus the wrong side because I still get confused about that. All right, guys, so for this pattern, you will need a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook,
medium weight, size 4 yarn in 2 alternating colors of your choice, a measuring tape, scissors, a plastic needle with a big eye, 1mm elastic banding, and patience. Now, a couple of very important notes before we start. After each square you make, you're gonna use your measuring tape to make sure it's somewhere between 3.75 inches and 4 inches long, and definitely no more than 4 inches long. So you can measure it here. It should be about 3.5 inches wide, but that's not as important as the length. The length needs to be 3.75 to 4 inches long. Very preferably, it should be 3.75 inches long. You can get a little bit longer, but really it shouldn't be 4 inches. It should be less than 4 inches. The rook, the knight, and the bishop pieces all get 2 squares each. 1 black piece on a white background, or pink piece, and 1 white piece on a black background or a pink background. The king and the queen both only get 1 square each, so it's totally up to you whether you want a black king or a pink king and a white queen piece, or a white king and a black queen, pink queen piece. You get what I'm saying. I'm gonna be showing you pink for the purposes of this video so it's easier to see, but basically the pattern could be either pink or black, you know, depending on what you want to do. So if you want to do the opposite of what I have here, all you would do is switch the colors around. So if you wanted a black queen instead, you would just do a black queen on a white background and just switch them just to keep like the pattern consistent. Now I'm actually going to be doing this tutorial in pink and white so you can see it easier. So every time you see B for black in the pattern in the subtext, I'm actually going to be subbing out pink. So we're going to be doing each piece pink or black with a white background together, and then I'll provide the inverse colorwork graph and written pattern for you to replicate on your own. Alrighty, so we're going to be connecting the squares using the slip stitch, and the secret to making sure these squares match up perfectly is to start on the correct stitch. But before we start joining, here's a little personal tip from me. Personally, I want all the chess pieces to be upright when the wheel is in a neutral position, just because I think it looks nicer. So 4 pieces need to be stitched together facing the same way, and then the other 4 need to be facing the opposite way. And then they're going to be joined together in the middle so that both of them are going to be facing upright when you actually put the cover over the steering wheel. Can you kind of imagine that? So basically, if you think about it, these 4 squares are going to be stitched together on the left-hand side of the wheel. These all are going to be facing upright. And then these are going to be on the right-hand side of the steering wheel, basically flip the opposite way. So they're all going to be facing the same way, but at the end, if you can look at it like this, they're going to be opposite. So then when you put this around your wheel, all of the pieces are facing upright and none of them are upside down. So laying them all out like this before you start stitching them together really helps to help you visualize what you want before you start stitching them together. All right, guys, so right now I'm going to be demonstrating how to do the slip stitch. I'm going to be using 2 white squares so that you can see it easier, and then I'm going to show you how to make sure your colors stay consistent when you're joining a white square and a black square together. So first, let's go over the slip stitch together. So as you can see on the last row of single crochet we have 15 stitches. Each one of those V's counts as 1 stitch. However, when you come down to your first row of chains, you started out with 16 chains. So how do we make it so the squares are even when you link them together? Easy. See this chain 1 we did before we turned our work? Right here? That's gonna count as your 16th stitch. That's gonna be the last stitch we slip stitch into when we join our squares together. Okay? Okay, so we're not gonna grab our yarn yet. We're gonna go to this first chain that we did, and we're gonna find our very first, what's it called? Our very first chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each one of these little holes counts as 1 chain. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So this really last one on the end right here is the one we're going to slip stitch into first. So go ahead and take your hook, push it through, and then we're going to go into our first single crochet of our other one. So at the end of your last row, you should have done a little tie off right here. That's not what you're going to be slip stitching into. You're going to be slip stitching into your very last single crochet. So we have our first square on our hook right here, and we're going to go into the back loop, the loop that's furthest from us of that last single crochet stitch. So you have both of those loops on your hook. Make sure to push that little tail end down so you don't get confused. And now you have them together. Then you're going to take up your yarn. Go ahead and pull it nice and through both loops. Great. Again, take this little tail, push it away from you. You just want to get it away so it doesn't confuse you like it always does to me. And then you're going to find your next slip stitch, which is right here. Push your hook through, find your next single crochet stitch right here. Nice. Now you have both on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops again. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now and I'm gonna show you how to do it again. Just follow my lead. So I'm gonna continue this with you and I will meet you at the very end. All right, so here we are on our second to last couple of stitches here. I'm gonna go into the next chain. Pull it through, and then here's our last stitch. We're gonna go into this very last chain that we did, the chain one and turn for our last row of single crochets, and we're gonna go into our very first chain. See that little hole? That little hole is where we're gonna be going into. So just like before, locate the little hole, poke your hook through, find this guy. Oh my goodness. See, this is a very difficult, you have to make sure that you have this tail pushed away so you can get this one freely. Don't be afraid to really push it through because that's a really tight little chain right there. Yarn over and pull through. Yay! So once you've done that, go ahead and cut your yarn. The hard part is over. Pull it all the way through, and then you have your gorgeous, beautiful join. Now I'm gonna show you which color to use when you're doing a black square and a white square and vice versa. So when you're joining two squares of two different colors, the most important thing is that we keep our colors consistent. You wanna make sure you have nice, beautiful, perfect, seamless joins. And the way to do that is when you put your squares together like this, you're gonna be poking your hook into the top square first, just like how we did in the last tutorial. So you'll pick up your first square, the one that's on top, poke your hook into that first, and then go into the second one on the bottom. Whichever square you poke your hook into first, that background color is the color that you're going to use. So for example, here I would use white yarn because the white square is on top and I'm connecting the white square to the black square. In this case, we had a black square on top and a white square on the bottom. So we used black yarn to make sure the join was beautiful and consistent with the color pattern. So then when you stretch it, you don't see any break. There's a beautiful join and that's all you can see. Now I'm gonna show you what it would look like if you use the wrong color to join them. Can you see how you can already see kind of like a weird break in the color pattern? To the eye, it doesn't look as smooth of a transition as you could have done if you used the other method. So remember, when you're joining squares, the color of the top square is the color you use for the join. So if the black square is on top, use black yarn. If the white square is on top, you use white yarn. Okay, so now all you're gonna do is repeat this process all the way around until you have a full loop, and that's gonna be the base of your steering wheel cover. Then after that, I'll meet back up with you and I'll show you how to do the border, putting the elastic, and then we'll put our steering wheel cover on. All right guys, so after you've connected all your squares and woven your ends, all there's left to do now is just make the border and install the elastic. The border, it's easy. It's just one single crochet anywhere you can find a hole all the way around on both sides of your cover. And I'll show you how to do that now. As you can see, I've already done one side of the border and I'm gonna show you how to do the other side right now. So I have my black yarn and my hook and I'm gonna start on any one of these holes. So I'm just gonna poke my hook in here, pull the yarn through, drop my yarn back, chain one, go back into the same stitch for a single crochet, and then just keep stitching all the way around. So when you get to the join part here, there's this little nub. So you just keep on going. It does not have to be an exact science. You just try to make sure your stitches are spaced as evenly as possible and make sure your tension is even throughout, so all your single crochets look exactly the same. Then you're just going to repeat your process all the way around until the end, and I will show you how to join your ends together. Alright, so now that we've done both sides of our border, I'm going to show you how to connect this piece right here. So you're going to go ahead and take your plastic hook with the eye, thread your yarn through, and take a look right here at your yarn. The single crochet has 2 loops, the back and the front. So we're actually going to pull our yarn through both loops of the first single crochet we did. So you're going to go through 2 loops right there, pull it nice and tight, and then you're going to go into the back loop only of the very last single crochet we completed. Okay, so go ahead and pull that nice and tight, and you can see that we actually created another fake single crochet stitch right here, so it all looks flat and you don't get that ugly slip knot join. It stays even all the way across. It's so nice. And then you just weave in your ends from there. So now that we've done all that, now it's time for the elastic. To do this, all you have to do is weave the elastic under one of the legs of the single crochet border on the inside of your work. So here's your elastic. This is the brand I use. You can find it very easily on Amazon. It's 1mm elastic cord. We're gonna go ahead and cut 4 lengths of this elastic cord, and you wanna make sure each cord is double the length of your steering wheel cover. Then flip your project inside out so the back side is showing. Take 2 lengths of your elastic cord, thread your plastic needle, and start. I like to start near a seam. So this is our seam right here. We're just gonna go underneath one leg of the single crochets in the back, one back leg per single crochet. Make sure you leave a little tail of elastic so you can tie the 2 ends together when you're done, and that's it. Hello, hello, hello! We've made it to the final, the most enjoyable, and the most important part of our process. Putting on our steering wheel cover. Let's put it on. I'm so excited. Okay, so we're gonna make sure that the rooks are facing towards the bottom. Here we go. Oh yes! Yes, yes, yes. That's the kind of stretch that I want to see. Holy crap! You can really see it from the side. We got our horse, we got our bishop. Let me turn the car on so we can see the rest of it. If I spin the wheel, you can see there's our king, there's our queen, our bishop, our knight, our rook, knight. Oh, this is beautiful. If you're interested in any other steering wheel cover tutorials or designs or anything like that, I will be having many more down the pipeline in the future. And if you would like to patronize my shop, I actually have a link in the description if you'd like to visit. If you don't, that's totally fine too. This pattern is available for free on my YouTube, but if you would like to purchase it from my shop, you can if you want to. The written pattern is available there. This steering wheel cover is also available on my Etsy as well. If you just want to buy the steering wheel cover for one of your friends who's obsessed with chess, that's awesome too. And with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you so much for watching, and like and subscribe, comment, type what you want, and I will see you later. Bye.